I have lost an insane amount of money to conversations that I just kept putting off. Thousands of dollars here, tens of thousands there. At some point, I just stopped counting. I'm Marc. This is Undercurrents, and today's topic, the real cost of not speaking up. So, I've had a lot of difficult clients in my career, and I can recall one right now. The staff really liked him. He was a gregarious guy, very friendly, outgoing, but very, very difficult to work with, almost impossible to work with. A little bit of a micromanager, saw everything as his opportunity to be creative and have all this input and wanted to over the shoulder everything, and makes it difficult for people to do their jobs. And the same type of person who after the third or fourth or fifth revision, you're kind of like, listen, I need to charge you for some of these revisions. He's like, no, this is us working together. This is us perfecting the craft. This is what I'm paying you for. Why should I pay for improvements to the work? And he would dangle future projects like a carrot. And, I remember at one point thinking, I've got to take this guy to lunch. I've got to explain to him that we just can't go forever with this, expense that we are fronting on his behalf. And he would say things, like, yeah, I'll let you take me to lunch, and those types of things, like it was a privilege. And all those little signs, were flags for me that I kind of ignored. And in retrospect now, I'm thinking, how many of those went by where I was giving up my standards in exchange for future approval? And, I'm thinking to myself, I'm being strategic, I'm being patient. I don't want to lose this client. These are the things that are running through my head. And that voice of justification for keeping a bad client like that just made me feel small. I felt like I was lying to myself, giving the client permission to keep pushing me around. And I guess the most embarrassing part of that was watching how my staff got to watch me be, brutalized by this guy, and other clients, I might add. Over time, it's less of a problem now. So in this particular case, we lost thousands of dollars over several months, just because I couldn't have the hard conversation, and not even a difficult conversation, just a conversation about how we need to, hold the line for our services. And I ended up walking away eventually from that client with almost nothing, basically to free my team from the oppression that I was enabling. So here's what this actually looks like. It's an iceberg model. Everything above the waterline you can see clearly, like lost revenue. But below the surface is where the real damage is, stuff that's harder to see. Like my team stops bringing ideas because everything's killing their creativity. The staff starts adapting to survive without me. The respect for my leadership starts to erode. They watched me cave to this client. Who knows when that's going to happen again? The client starts to own the relationship. Now we're just doing what we're told instead of in the leadership position we should be in. And every day I stayed silent, I taught myself that my own judgment can't be trusted. The real cost wasn't the money. It was the slow erosion of my own confidence. So in retrospect, I thought that staying quiet was strategic, or that I was being patient, or that I was being, resilient, really doing the hard thing, serving the client. But really, it was more like enabling the client. It turns out it was just expensive. Not just in dollars, but in trust and my own self-respect. The conversations that I kept avoiding Took 10, 15 minutes when they finally came around and I had them. And, you know, if you know you need to have a hard conversation, save yourself the pain and anxiety. Do it now. Get it over with. You know, you will be so glad that you did. If any of that resonated with you, I've got something on my website for those who know the hardest work isn't the work. It's a free download, no weird sales obligation, and if you want more content like this, then you know where to find me.